Hello, everybody. Blazing Press here, right, uh, with you on this news story. It's just breaking. It's definitely potential unrest for America, and could this be the linchpin that begins the dominoes falling? There's a huge potential for this to spread to every state in the country, with the just the very much the built up anger toward this administration, especially with these messages of, that they're putting out there by just going in. And, really, what's really happening is our country, the reason this is, the way I see this is reason why this is happening is because the country economically is falling apart. And then you got the personality of Trump behind all that, which is trying to put a Band-Aid on. And I don't know if they're really trying to transition into something that's going to be, the golden age, which doesn't seem like it's a smooth transition at all. I know that Venezuela has huge amounts of Bitcoin that supposedly they're going to go after for the national reserves. But Trump just made a post about how Venezuela now is going to deal with us. Like they're going to now do all exclusive trading with the U.S. That there's been deals made for oil, et cetera, et cetera. And, thank you for your attention to this matter. Like, to me, that's like a mafiosos coming in and saying, yeah, we're going to protect your business. If you don't want this, we'll just destroy your place. But if you do, hey, we're going to be working closely with you. You guys are going to be on the inside. And other countries around the world see this. They're going along with this at the butt of a gun. That's kind of like trying to get people to to convert. Like Islam. A lot of times they'll say this about different religions, even Christianity in days gone by. You can say they tried to convert people at the edge of the sword. Catholicism, going back in the day, they would put people to death for not converting to becoming Catholic. Is that really going to make you love, the group or the association that you're a part of? I mean, really? You can outwardly mouth that you're now going to go along with this, but is that really what the Venezuelan people or the Venezuelan government really wants? No, they've been completely and obviously contrary to this the whole time. Now, what's going on here in America now with this, and I say this is a linchpin. This is the beginning of the dominoes falling. We told you guys that these things were going to start happening. And now you're going to have everybody and their brother, all the enemies of America are going to probably look at this as a way to kind of bring, like when we do this exporting of regime change, how we do this with our own, CIA and everything, we and this is known tactics. They go in to cause disruption, unrest. Even Mike Pompeo made a post the other day that the Iranian people are being encouraged, along with our own CIA, which he said was in there with them, and he made it just out in the open. We're there fomenting unrest. So do you think that our enemies are not going to do the same thing to us? Do you not think that they're going to foment unrest within our country and hope that we go into civil unrest and chaos on our streets? Because that's what we're doing in other countries. Just saying, you live by the sword, you die by the sword. I just think that that's where we're going. So let's go and look at some of this coverage here, because you got the text back. How many of you guys got the text? Make sure you get connected to the text alerts. And just for the moment here, let me just go ahead and put just let you guys know that we are doing this text alert set up so that everybody can be alerted to when we do go live. And basically, it's just an app that shows notifications on your phone whenever we do go live, like we just sent out. I don't know how many of you guys out there got it. Type 1 if you got it. And it'll let you know when things are going down so that you can be connected to us wherever we're at. If we happen to get censored or anything like this happens, you're going to still be connected. But it'll just be a quick response, link that will give you the actual direct link to where we're live at the moment, okay? I mean, it could be Rumble for all we know, but we're going to be really right now focused on our channel here. But if anything does happen politically that becomes, you know, where it begins to affect people's ability to free speech, we're going to definitely be giving you guys the link to get there. And make sure you subscribe and thumbs up the video too, and enable every instant notification you can find, whether it's on YouTube or all of our other social media, Telegram. You want to make sure you're getting your little dings. Ding, 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 ding. Okay? So there's a lot of you out there that got the text alert. Great. Actually, it wasn't a text alert. We're not putting out text alerts right now because text alerts are very expensive. And we don't have the money to put out text alerts. But we're putting out the notifications. And the notifications are just as good. You know, if you got your cell phone and you got your app, it's going to pop up there and let you know. Now, eventually, we do want to hit all of our text alert number list that we have, and it's a big, large list. It's about 35,000 people. That's a lot of people. And we want to eventually email, or not email, but text everybody on that list and let them know where we're at. But that's going to be down the road when we make a little extra money, because that costs a lot to do that. So we don't have the money for that right now. But anyways, but the app is good. Everybody likes the app, so stay tuned. The app is going to begin. Now, let's get into the news and show you guys what some of the new stuff is happening here. There's a lot of angst right now, I guess. Whoops, that was wrong link there. Sorry about that. I'm trying to go over here to the other background here. Here we go. So lots of footage is coming out now from people that were on the ground, and I think it's interesting to see because you're starting to see the backlash in the neighborhoods, and this is what took place right after the shooting. And so I'm going to turn down the sound a little bit. You can kind of hear it, but I don't want to put it too loud. This happened right after the shooting. So you see, right now you're seeing, just pull this down here. You're seeing the residents up in arms, resisting the agents. Agents are just basically going around, you know, pushing people around, you know, showing that they're boss. Obviously, this guy right here gets shot right in the face. I don't know if you can see this one. I don't know if this, you know, and I don't know why, you know, people are to the point where they're, and this is not something that I condone or anything. I would never say to resist an officer or to attack an officer, but some of these people are obviously very angry, and, you know, they're probably on the left, and they see this as Trump's, you know, Stasi or something. They look at this as, that guy got shot right in the face. See, they shot that dude right in the face with a pepper ball, which is pretty crazy that they would shoot him in the face like that, because normally when you shoot somebody with a pepper ball, you just shoot him in the chest or something, you know, like, and at point blank range. On top of that, that was point blank range. You don't want to do that, because you could literally, you know, bust someone's eyeballs out or something like that, you know, blind them. And now you got people just standing in front of the cars. I mean, if that wasn't enough to see that lady get shot, this is another great way for someone to get hurt or killed. I mean, like I said, I would not condone this type of resistance to these types of, you know, officers out there, whatever they are, ICE agents. You know, they are armed, and, you know, at the heat of the moment, anything can happen, and that's what happened with this lady. There's a lot of footage now coming out where, you know, it shows how she, and these guys are, you know, they are under a lot of pressure from the community, especially because it is a Democrat community and or a foreign kind of community. You would say Somalis. I don't know if these are the Somali communities here. I think this might have just been somewhere in Minnesota, because it doesn't look like the lady that got killed. She wasn't. I don't think she was a Muslim. I mean, not a Muslim. I don't think that she was a Somali. I think that she was from another state, because the license plate says she was from a different the state next to Minnesota, and that she was a mother. I guess she was 37 years old. And some are saying that they're really looking for this type of thing to happen because they want to flip the switch on martial law in America. Dang. So this is happening right now outside of the where the shooting took place. And I turned down the sound because there's just so much screaming and yelling and everything else that's going on. It looks like they busted out the back window of this. Did they bust out the back window? Looks like the back window's busting out. Who knows? One of the things that I noticed too was when they shot the woman, the footage shows a couple of these ICE agents, and one of the guys looks really overweight and can't even really run. He kind of looks like he's just hobbling around. He's just like, like, I don't know if these people are really trained. From what I understand, they're not really rigorously trained to do a lot of what they're doing. Look at that how much smoke was out there. Jeez. And the guy definitely looked like he was way out of shape. As I said on Monday, and what am I hearing in the background here? Okay, so Governor Walz also is supposed to step down because of some widespread corruption, deep corruption, supposedly, that is being exposed on some of his dealings. But he's obviously really taking advantage of this situation to try to maybe salvage something there. Who knows if he's still going to be stepping down? But Trump is just made some statements here. Let me read you some of what Trump has said. Trump has just said this just a few minutes ago here on Telegram, which is all over social media because they post all over the place at once. He says, I've just been informed. Oh, wait, that's the Venezuela one. Okay, so he didn't actually say anything on Telegram yet about the incident. Well, here's the one about Venezuela. This was just posted a few minutes ago. I have just been informed that Venezuela is going to be purchasing only American-made products with the money that they received from our new oil deal. These purchases will include, among other things, American agricultural products, the American-made medicines, medicinal devices, like ventilators. Got a lot of extra ventilators to give out. And equipment to improve equipment to improve Venezuela's electric grid and energy facilities. In other words, Venezuela is committing to doing business with the United States of America as their principal partner. A wise choice and a very good thing for the people of Venezuela and the United States. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Anytime he says that at the end of whatever he says, it just sounds so arrogant to me. I don't know. It just rubs me like as if he's just trying to show everybody, this is how right I am. This is how I'm, and really when I look at this just looks like we're weak. We're pushing our brand at the edge of the sword. We're putting a gun to their head and saying, if you don't buy our products, well, now you made a wise choice. It's a good thing you made that choice, or your head would be blown off right now. Like that's the kind of mindset that the way this sounds to me, and I'm just telling you what it sounds like. This is the way the rest of the world perceives this. This isn't just somebody that you would say, oh, this guy right here, he's got Trump derangement syndrome. he's got Trump dreaming. He doesn't like Trump. No, I'm just telling you what it looks like, what it sounds like. Any thinking person that's not blinded by, red, white, and blue, or what Trump's promoting as red, white, and blue is going to see. Anybody that really looks from a different point of view, that's not got this whole idea of America first, is going to be like, hey, and really, should we be thinking, when it says the first will be last and the last will be first? Have you ever heard that saying? When you serve somebody, you put someone better than yourself. Isn't that a strength? Isn't that more, when you self-sacrifice for others' benefit and you're not always about yourself, doesn't that bespeak a characteristic that's strong and wise and virtuous? Or do we just live by the law of the jungle? Are we like survival of the fittest? Whoever has the most power and the most bombs wins. And whoever can pull their guns and kill people are going to be the victor. Is that the way it really works? Now, I'm not saying anything about self-defense. I'm not saying that you can't have self-defense, and I'm not saying there's not such a thing as a just war. I'm not saying that. But I'm just talking about, hey, we're not going to blitzkrieg the whole world into submission, to try to capitalize on, it's so much better to negotiate, and to try to use diplomacy. And yeah, there's always going to be these intrigues that are happening behind the scenes that we don't know about between nations, I'm sure. And, whatever else you got out there going on, with the espionage and spies, all that is just, that's the way the world works. Okay. That's the world, and I'm coming from a point of view of, I'm not a part of this myself. I'm looking from a different vantage point, a different worldview. I'm not of the world. Like Jesus said this very clearly. He said, if my kingdom were of this world, then would my servants fight. Then would I have a coup. Then would I use guns and armaments. And then would I go into sabotage. Then would I go into guerrilla warfare. Then would I, Jesus wasn't talking about a political kingdom. And as a Christian, you should be thinking, you're in the world, but you're not of it. You're in the world, but you're not of the world, right? Come out from among them, my people, touch not the unclean thing, and I will receive you, says the Lord. Don't you want to be a person that is preparing in this world for the world to come? Don't get so attached and enamored with trying to save yourself. The Bible says if you save your life in this world, you're going to lose it. It's a fleeting kind of mirage anyway, that you're going after all these different things that you think are going to satisfy you, and in the end, they don't. And I'm going to tell you what, this world is coming to a very quick wake-up call, because I believe this is Book of Revelation. This is all the prophetic books now coming to a head. And you got the horses are riding. You got the 4 horsemen riding. And they are all riding. I think the famine is now next. And by the way, I need to tell you guys this. This is very important. Oh, Trump just posted something else here. So let me just read what he says here. Well, let me just get to what I was going to say. I believe that we're getting close to seeing such an effect upon our critical infrastructure and our shipping and our relationships with other countries in terms of what war, I'm just going to say about war coming down on different fronts. It's going to affect the supply chain. And what you saw in 2020 when there were shortages is going to be worse. I'm just going to tell you now. You better prepare. What's going to be the new gold and silver and Bitcoin is going to be food. Okay? Just a little public service announcement. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Okay, so here we go with Donald Trump's message. Here he says, after long and difficult negotiations with senators, congressmen, secretaries, and other political representatives, I have determined that for the good of our country, especially in the very troubled and dangerous times, especially in these very troubled and dangerous times, our military budget for the year of 2027 should not be $1 trillion, but rather $1.5 trillion. Okay. That's another year away. I guess that's something he needs to address right now, though. This will allow us to build the dream military, quote unquote, the dream military that we have long been entitled to. And more importantly, that will keep us safe, within a big capital letters, safe, and secure, capital letters. What? Safe and secure? Are you kidding? That's exactly what they said they would be saying in the latter day. Remember, we always say this whenever they keep doing this. When they say peace and security, then sudden destruction will come upon them, like a woman in travail, and they will not escape. Safe and security. When they say safety and security, peace and security, regardless, so he says this dream military with this $1.5 trillion is going to get us is a dream military that we have been entitled to. We're entitled to this. And more importantly, it's going to keep us safe and secure, regardless of any foe. If it weren't for the tremendous numbers being produced by tariffs from other countries, tremendous numbers, this is why we got to go invade other countries, because we're so well off. You know, we got so much money coming in, and everybody's doing so well. Cost of living is down, and people have all this extra cash. The flood, we're just consuming so many products, and it's just like, this is just a booming economy because of tariffs. Oh, not to mention that you're getting taxed hugely on tariffs, by the way, too. That's just another tax, added tax. So these tariffs from other countries are helping us, supposedly, many of which in the past have ripped us off. Well, I am so tired of hearing him say that. I mean, he says that ad nauseum. Ad nauseum. How much we're getting ripped off. I mean, there's things that he says over and over and over. And how often does he have to say the same thing over and over and over? Don't you ever get tired of hearing the same? Doesn't that make you think that, people aren't listening? Like he has to say it over and over because people aren't listening? Maybe because they don't think he even knows what he's doing? Or if he is doing, or if he does know what he's doing something that's not in the best interest of you and me. It might be in best interest of, the upper 5 or 10% maybe, but not the average person. It's not good for you. I'm telling you right now, this ain't not good for you. So then he goes on to say, and always at levels never seen before. At levels never seen before. That's another one of his favorite phrases. At levels never seen before. Never in the history of the world. That's why when he was 12 years old, his siblings would call him the great I am, because he would go around always talking about how great he was. They literally called him the great I am. His half-sister said this. I think it was his half-sister, the great I am. Can you imagine being nicknamed the great I am at 12 years old? Well, the seeds of greatness were in Trump from the very beginning. I would say that the $1 trillion number, I would say that I would stay at the $1 trillion number, but because of tariffs and the tremendous income that they bring, amounts being generated, that would have been unthinkable in the past, especially just 1 year ago during the sleepy Joe Biden administration. The worst president in U.S. history of our country, in the history of our country. There you go, saying it again. There's another thing he always says again. Sleepy Joe Biden, the worst president in the history of the United States. We are able to easily hit the $1.5 trillion number, while at the same time providing an unparalleled military force and having the ability to, at the same time, pay down our debt and likewise pay a substantial dividend to moderate income patriots. To pay a substantial dividend to moderate income patriots within our country? I'm not exactly sure. I'm guessing that's like trying to help out those who are for him. He wants to give them extra money, right? Because why? Because they're suffering, because their economy sucks right now, and he knows it, even though he says that it's the hottest economy ever. And even though that they had to hide the job numbers, they had to hide the inflation numbers. Why didn't we get to see all that? What about the Epstein files? We never saw it. We've only seen 1% of the Epstein files. What about the other 99%? I mean, like what about Fort Knox? Weren't you supposed to audit Fort Knox? Weren't we supposed to get a $5,000 stimulus check every American when you first came in? Oh, and then I heard they were supposed to get $2,000 checks not too long ago, but that never came through either. Weren't we supposed to get a $2,000 stimulus check as well? That never materialized either. Well, anyways, that's just Trump, though. We know Trump. That's just the way Trump's gonna Trump. That's a Trump. Trump. But anyways, let's see what else we got here. I mean, I could show you all the footage of what just happened, but where am I at here? I'm looking at a post from Health Ranger, and by the way, thank you for that coffee, whoever that is. Elizabeth, God bless. Thanks for the 3 coffees. Wow. Scrolling on YouTube a few. I'm just kind of looking at this Bright Learn. Oh gosh, they're censoring him here. They're starting to censor stuff. And Health Ranger's doing something that's outside of the AI, the acceptable AI modeling that they've got out there. He's doing his own thing, and so they're censoring him through AT&T. I'm not sure how that's working there, but in doing this, AT&T, which no doubt serves up any number of porn sites, gambling sites, and other sites that are arguably destructive to society, chose to block the fastest growing AI-augmented book publishing platform in the world, forcing its own customers into ignorance and engaging in anti-fair trade practices that serve to protect commercial monopolies like Amazon. Not only is AI, and see, he should know that this is what, he's coming up against a racket. He's a small guy. I'm not saying that he's not doing a great thing, but, and this is Mike Adams for those who don't know. And no, he's got a pretty big reach, but I mean, he's still a little guy compared to what's going on with all these big companies like Amazon. They're going to censor anybody that, it's like you can try, but. And then you can also reach into your little echo chamber like we do. They kind of keep you in a little echo chamber. Now, we can break out of that echo chamber, but it takes everybody working together. And this is what I'm going to talk to you guys about just right now for a second here. Before we get into more of the coverage here, echo chamber can be broken through if we all thumbs up videos, comment on the videos, share the videos. You got to get it outside the reach of that ingrown, and they put that there for a reason. They put it there for a reason. And I think even if you break out of that, there's still potential that if it's news that they don't like or information that they don't like, that there'll be a call to YouTube. Hey, we need you to take care of this channel. We need you to mute it, put it on shadow ban, or delete it. You know what I mean? That's just the way it works. So, and when that happens, then they're exposed, because then everybody knows that a channel is being unfairly muted, and sometimes that has the opposite effect. It's kind of like a persecution that brings attention to a situation that would normally not have had the attention of a lot of people, now has all kinds of attention because of the fact that they're trying to stop the message. That's why I say, martyrs actually become enshrined and unwillingly promoted when they were really trying to stop the influence. So just understand that powers that be, if you're trying to stop a message, it might actually promote it. So tread lightly, right? There's a lot of news coming out about what's going on with Iran. That's fixing to hit the fan. We just commandeered 2 more oil tankers. I think one of them was a Russian flagged oil tanker, if I'm not mistaken. I just don't think this is going to turn out very good. I really don't think this is going to turn out very good. All right, well, let's go look at our Telegram page and check it out and see what's going on there. Where's my Telegram here? Okay. Let's take a look and see what we got here. So this is some of the protesting now that's going on. They're burning the American flag after the shooting took place. Yes, you're going to have all kinds of backlash because of this. And yes, there is polarization in America's politics. And yes, both sides are going to effectively neutralize the country itself. It's called, when a house is divided against itself, it shall not stand, right? And it's also the Hegelian dialectic that the high-level movers and shakers that are really behind the global scene, it's not really America first kind of powers that be. This is really about the bigger picture and what they're really trying to usher in for the whole world. And it is a control grid, and it is a global governance, and it is a global economy. And who's really going to be at the helm of that? You have to ask yourself how these things actually do unfold. But I have a sneaky suspicion America is not going to fare very well, because America's transitioning, I believe, to a global governance. And whether or not we're going to be the ones that, it's not going to be America's brand. I don't think that the global governance is going to be America's brand. We're not going to brand it. I think that it will transition, and there will be order that will come out of chaos, but the chaos hasn't actually hit yet. And when I say chaos, I'm talking about global chaos, global wars, and very much of an unrest here in America as well. So understand, we're going through a process right now. We are not going to all of a sudden just change everything and on a dime, and then we're going to be all, we're going to be in our little bubble of security here while the whole world goes into chaos. No, I think it's going to affect the whole world, and it's going to be here in the homeland. And that's why I'm telling you, you should be ready with everything that you need right now. You could stockpile a whole room full of gold and silver, but that ain't going to help you. Okay. The best thing you could do is get some food that's storable. I'd say storable food, and understand that food is going to be the commodity that everybody's going to be looking at. It's going to be the thing that people are going to be needing. Like if you have things that are going to help people survive, whatever that might be, like just things that are going to help facilitate community. and food production and, talents and techniques that you have that are going to help fix things. You got machinery that you've got, generating electricity and water supplies. These are all things that you can do in a local environment that are outside of the grid itself. I'm talking about off-grid kind of things. Okay, I'm not just talking about, and this is something that happens more in a rural setting anyway. It doesn't really happen in a city. You can't do this in a city. And cities are not going to be places that are going to be friendly. I'll just tell you that right now. Cities are not going to be places that are going to be friendly when this really hits. And like I said, this could be the beginning of dominoes falling. That's supposedly the license plate of the person that, and I think it's an Indiana license plate. Is that an Indiana license plate? They said it's not a Mississippi or a Minnesota license plate. This is not a Minnesota license plate. So this person was from another state. So here's what Trump said on his Truth Social about the incident. I have just viewed the clip of the event which took place in Minnesota, and it's a horrible thing to watch. The woman screaming was obviously a professional agitator. Now, he's talking about the woman that was taking the video. Now, she was screaming because she saw the ICE agent pointing the gun at her head. That's why she was screaming. He says that she was a professional agitator. The woman screaming was obviously a professional agitator. And the woman driving the car was very disorderly, obstructing and resisting, who violently, willfully, and viciously ran over the ICE officer. I like that. Viciously. It was vicious. Now, from what I could tell, it didn't look like a vicious run over to me. What it looked like to me was that her wheels were turned away from the ICE officer that was coming up on her side. She was just trying to get out. That's all she was doing. Now, she shouldn't have been I would say anytime you have officers that are standing around you, you shouldn't be driving away. Just saying. I mean, if they're it'd be better for them to just take you and take you to jail than you to get shot and killed, because that's kind of what will happen. You're basically putting your life at risk if you try to escape from a bunch of officers that are standing near your car. There's a possibility they might just open fire on you, especially in today's world. So the best thing you could do is just shut your car off and let them take you to jail, and then fight it after the fact. That's the only, unless you really do want to die and you think you got, you might have a chance to get away and you don't care. I mean, that's kind of what people are at that point now. I think they're just so angry that they don't care if they die in the moment. I'm just saying. The woman probably should not have tried to, and who knows? Maybe she was like scared. I don't know. Maybe she was scared. Maybe she thought, I got to get out of it, even if she wasn't doing anything. Well, the way it looks like in the video, one of the ICE agents comes up to her door and starts yelling at her, like really yelling at her to get out of the car. And that sounds to me like, she might have been scared, or maybe she was, there doing something from another state. I don't know. Maybe this was some kind of center of action for some kind of protest. I don't know what the details are behind the scenes there, but I'm just trying to kind of gain a little bit more understanding on what's happening there. Trump then says she viciously ran over the ICE officer, which I don't think she intended to even hit anybody. I think she was just trying to get out of there. And then it says, who seems to have shot her in self-defense, the ICE officer. Based on the attached clip, it is hard to believe he is still alive, but is now recovering in the hospital. So the ICE agent that supposedly shot her in the head had to go to the hospital. Not sure why he would have went to the hospital. It didn't look like he hit her or that she hit him. Did it look like she hit him with the car? I saw him just move to the side, and she had her wheels turned this way, and she went this way, and he was standing right on her driver's side, and she just went this way, and he just, he was in the front of the car at first, but her wheels were turning away from him, so he didn't get run over. He just went along. He shot her through the front, and then he went alongside, and I don't know if he shot her again through the side window, but she was dead at that point, so I guess it doesn't matter now. But the situation is being studied in its entirety, but the reason these incidents are happening is because the radical left is threatening, assaulting, and targeting law enforcement officers and ICE agents on a daily basis. They are just trying to do the job of making America safe. We need to stand by and protect our law enforcement officers from this radical left movement of violence and hate. Now, I would say the same thing. I'm not doubting that there isn't paid protesters, agitators, left-wing, violent left-wing groups. I'm not saying that there isn't. I think there are. But I also think that the right can have that reaction that's ultimately going to exacerbate the situation and make it even much worse. Then you're going to have real civil conflicts unfolding. Now, they have to take care of it in some way. I mean, I'm not saying that they don't do anything and they just let it go on. There definitely does have to be some kind of intervention at a certain point, but I don't know. Things are just going to, it's just the environment that we're in, I guess. Things are just going to continue to get worse from what it looks like. Unfortunately. I mean, I say, is there any real answers to this situation? If you really try to find answers. Here's Tim Walz. He's not looking too good. He has activated, Tim Walz has activated the emergency statewide services and calls on Minnesotans to protest peacefully and asks for solidarity from other Americans. Walz also issued an order to prepare the Minnesota National Guard and called on federal authorities to leave the state. I feel your anger, and I'm angry. So are the ICE officials from the federal government going to listen to the governor of Minnesota and having the National Guard under the direction of Tim Walz? How's that going to work? Because these state militias are not subject to the federal government. What happens if Trump goes in? Here's what could potentially happen, is what I'm kind of thinking. Trump could say, hey, all this corruption with the Democrats, the radical left, and Tim Walz being the head of this inside of Minnesota, he's the one that's facilitating this terrible situation. And he's stepping down now because of the great amount of fraud that's happening as of the last 2 days that's been revealed. And so I have decided to federalize and take control of the National Guard inside of Minnesota. And we're going to go in and take control of the situation because obviously it's out of control. How much you want to bet that's what happens? How much you want to bet that's what happens? Because this corruption thing that supposedly was unveiled the last week has caused Tim Walz to say he's got to step down. So let me just see, Tim. Resignation. Okay, so Tim Walz's resignation was 1 day ago. Let's just see what they're saying. Okay, so wait a minute. Walz refuses to quit after dropping re-election bid amid Minnesota fraud firestorm. Over my dead body, he said. Okay, so he's not resigning. He's basically saying he's not going to run for office again. Is that what he says? Waltz says he takes full accountability for massive fraud scandal, but slams Trump and Republicans for political broadsides. So basically, he's saying that there is frauds and scandals, and that he's going to take accountability for what's going on there, but that he's not in any way responsible for it. He's gonna take responsibility, but he himself is not doing himself the fraud, is what it sounds like. One day after announcing that he was scrapping his re-election bid. See, when he said he wasn't going to have a re-election, he wasn't going to go for re-election, it was promoted as he was resigning. That this was what was hitting the news, mainstream news, is that Tim Waltz is resigning because of corruption, when in fact it's probably the corruption that he has to deal with as the governor. Did he know about it? Who knows? Was he getting kickbacks? Who knows? Do they have evidence? Probably not at this moment. But they're making it seem like they do, or at least they're promoting it politically on the right. This is what it is. And so Tim Waltz of Minnesota vocally pushed back against calls by Republican state lawmakers to resign amid the state's sweeping fraud scandal. I'm not going anywhere, and you can make all of your requests for me to resign. Over my dead body will that happen, Waltz told reporters as he answered questions for the first time since his stunning re-election announcement. He just basically said he's not going to run again. Okay, well, that was stupid timing. He shouldn't have said it right then. He's looking old anyway. You know, Waltz doesn't look that like he's all that young. You know, maybe it's time for him to step down anyway, right? It goes on to say the embattled governor ended his bid for an unprecedented third term amid stinging criticism from Republicans and some Democrats over his handling of the state's massive welfare assistance fraud scandal. But a combative Waltz trained his verbal attacks on President Trump and Minnesota Republicans, pointing to Republicans in the state legislature. The governor warned. Pointing to Republicans in the state legislature, the governor warned, expect for the next 11 months for me to ride you like you've never been ridden to make sure that you're doing your job. Oh, wow. So he's going to ride the Republicans, huh? Well, that's going to be interesting for the next 11 months. So it's been kind of been hyped up that he's basically resigning. That's what I had heard. But when you really look at what's going on, it's just politics. Right? And I'm sure there's corruption there somewhere, but it's still politics because he's not resigning. Let's see. Trump said something on Telegram. Is this the same thing? Okay, so here's Trump talking about home ownership today. So this just popped out. For a very long time, buying and owning a home was considered the pinnacle of the American dream. It was the reward for working hard and doing the right thing. But now, because of the record high inflation, which was caused, he's gonna blame Democrats, Sleepy Joe Biden. Let's see. Caused by Joe Biden. Yep, there you go. And the Democrats in Congress, once again, ad nauseum. That American dream is increasingly out of reach for far too many people, especially the younger Americans. It's for this reason and much more that I am immediately taking steps to ban large institutional investors from buying more single-family homes. Oh, wow. That's very, very nice of him to do. You know, that happened during COVID, remember? They were buying up homes like left and right. Nobody could get a home because BlackRock. He's supposedly going to stop BlackRock, Vanguard, and all these big AI-driven companies. Because this is what it is: the AI, the AI is gobbling up all of the assets of the world, really. Because these are not just national institutions; these are global companies. And they're being governed by AI bots. And if you don't know how BlackRock is run, it's run by an AI bot named Aladdin. They call it Aladdin. and it makes all the decisions for the company and all the companies that are under its umbrella, which is a huge amount. I mean, you got companies like Amazon and Google and all the big ones, eBay. Everything is subject to those AI dictates of what to buy, what to sell. They work as one entity. That's how come they're just growing, at least, and they're devouring everything, right? I think they're worth $20 trillion in assets or more. I think it's more than 20 trillion. I think it's huge. And so BlackRock is a part of that, and they were buying up all the homes. They were bidding them all up, to just make sure that the market was outpricing everybody, and so nobody could own a home. So now Trump says, okay, so he's going to stop this, right? So he's going to immediately take steps to ban large institutional investors from buying more single-family homes, and I will be calling on Congress to codify it. People live in homes, not corporations. I will discuss this topic, including further housing and affordability proposals and more. I don't care what he says, and he's talking about this at his Davos speech. Really? In 2 weeks? He's going to be talking about this at Davos. I don't care what Trump says. It's kind of like him saying, hey, I'm going to release the Epstein files in a couple weeks. Don't worry. Don't worry. We're going to do it. We're going to expose all this corruption. You just wait and see. Just kick that can down the road just a little bit farther. Just don't worry. It's coming. It's coming. Get ready. Opium is here. The golden age. All of your bills are going to disappear. We're going to be at the pinnacle of society, of the world. It's like Titanic, Trump is just sitting there. Just put your hands out and close your eyes and just think, look, you're flying. You're flying as the Titanic is sinking. Yeah. Okay. We trust you. We trust the plan. We trust the plan. Trust Sessions. Trust Q. Trust the plan. We know it's an operation that's behind the scenes. I'm just saying, man, this is just smoke and mirrors. This is magic. Everybody's just like enamored with this. And I'm telling you, Rome is burning and Trump is fiddling. That's exactly what's happening right now. And until you see it, you're not going to know it until you actually see your fire in your backyard. That's when you're going to realize it. That's when you're going to wake up. When you see, they always say this. It's a recession when your friend loses their job, but it's a depression when you lose yours. And I'm telling you what, AI and all the AI learning models are they're increasing and exponentially. They are gobbling up all the jobs. And this is why they're proposing UBIs, not to mention robotics and automation. Okay, please understand, everybody's job is on the chopping block. And AI can do a lot better job than 10 of you, okay? And they don't have to pay it. They don't have to pay it anything. You don't think they're not going to go after AI rather than, we'll save your poor little job because we really like you. You're just one of us. You've been a part of our company for so long, and we just, we like humans. No, they're going to be liking that almighty dollar is what they're going to like, or whatever Bitcoin reserve currency now is we're going to have. Who knows what we're going to have? Stable coins. We got stable coins. We love stable coins. That's what they're going to say. We don't love you. We love stable coins. Hey, it was really nice. We'll give you a severance, but hey, however long that lasts, good luck. But anyways, let's see what else we got here. Well, let's get back to my Telegram page here, or the BP News Telegram page, as we say. And this is a lot of the footage here that I don't know if I should show it all because it's probably footage they don't want us to put on YouTube. I've looked at these. These are just all the aftermath anyway. It's not any graphic footage. The footage I wanted to show you was that footage right there that was coming out of the aftermath, where they were just pepper spraying people in the face. That's kind of what we wanted to show you there. But this Jacob Fry, a Democrat, he's a Minneapolis mayor. He had some choice words to say to Trump and the federal government. I guess you could listen to that one. Let's take a listen. Let's see if I can pull that one up. All right. Sorry about that. Uh-oh. I keep putting that subscribe button up there thing. That's automated, so if you just see it pop up there. But anyway, here is Jacob Fry. Or Frey, I guess his name is. Here he is.
And I have a message for ICE. To ICE, get the fuck out of Minneapolis. We do not want you here. Your stated reason for being in this city is to create some kind of safety, and you are doing exactly the opposite. People are being hurt. Families are being ripped apart. Long-term Minneapolis residents that have contributed so greatly to our city, to our culture, to our economy are being terrorized, and now somebody is dead. That's on you. And it's also on you to leave.
Okay, so I didn't remember that he said that he dropped an F-bomb there, but that's par for the course. Everybody has to match Trump's filthy language. You know, Trump was sitting there deriding and castigating some politician a while back for having used obscene language. But he does it all the time. You know, this is the double standard of Trump. He'll say something, but yet he'll do it himself, and he doubles down on it. So I'm sorry, but this is the environment that we're in because you got a leader that's setting the tone for the country. And when you do things duplicitously and corruptly, and then you try to virtue signal over the top of it, as if you're a paragon of, you know, for everyone to emulate. This is like, it's like, what is that, overinflated estimation of oneself? You know, that's called pride. You're basically promoting a prideful gospel, you know, political gospel. Then everybody kind of follows suit. It taints the environment. It does. You know, when you got people that are on a bully pulpit and they're leaders and they're promoting that message that they ad nauseum day and night, you know, everybody keeps hearing it, and it just starts programming people to think a certain way. That's why during World War II, Germany, their Ministry of Propaganda said, you say a lie long enough and loud enough, and eventually it becomes the truth. You just keep pounding it in their head. You make all these big rallies. You get everybody together. You get that energy out there, and you just get that guy up there, you know, shaking his fist and getting everybody, you know, excited. Our country's coming back. Every investment's coming back. We've left the rags of you know, of our past and all the corruption of our former years, and we're bringing back pride once again. We're going to roll over the whole of the world and show them who we really are. Blitzkrieg. Quickly, we're going to just go and taking everything over. Show them who's boss. Nobody's going to get in our way. I'm just going to tell you, that's exactly a bad place to be right now. I don't think we want to go down that route. But they're not going to listen to me or you, right? They're going to say we're crazy. We're crazy. You don't know what you're talking about. We're on the eve of a golden age. All the while, we're just arming all of Europe with nuclear weapons now. I mean, it's just crazy. Look at what they're doing right here. U.S. stations around 100 nuclear air bombs in Europe. The U.S. has stationed around 100 modern B-61-12 tactical nukes in Europe. This was reported by Interfax, citing data from the Bulletin of the Atomic Scientists and the Federation of American Scientists. The bombs are located at 6 military bases in NATO countries: Germany, Belgium, the Netherlands, Italy, and Turkey. And I guess we're also going to be putting some in the UK as well. Anywhere from 10 to 30 warheads at each base. That's a nice thought. I guess that'll keep Russia at bay, right? Russia doesn't want to mess with anybody that's got nukes now, so they're not going to be going into Europe anytime soon. Otherwise, this will happen. Yeah. Right? They'll just press the button and that'll be it. The whole of humanity will cease to exist, and the AI bots will rise from the ashes, and an alien civilization will dawn. And what will Trump be doing? He'll be flossing. This is the floss too. He'll be flossing both ways. Nya, 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 nya. Let's see what else we got here. Breaking: Hegseth, Secretary of War, Hegseth says that Venezuelan oil blockade is in effect anywhere in the world. We can take you over anywhere you're at. It doesn't even have to be Venezuela now. We can take you over if you're in the Black Sea. We can take you over in the China Sea. We can take you over anywhere that we choose, because we're America. We're America, and Americans are exceptional. Hegseth says that Venezuelan oil blockade will be in effect. It should say be in effect. Hegseth says Venezuela oil blockade in effect anywhere. Well, I guess that's right. In effect anywhere in the world after oil tankers were seized by U.S. forces. So two oil tankers today were seized, from what I understand. Two different ones. Thousands of Venezuelans are on the streets right now in the city of Caracas to demand immediate release of Nicolas Maduro, who was, as they say, kidnapped by U.S. forces early Saturday. Now, would we say kidnapped? No, we would say arrested. He was arrested. He wasn't kidnapped, because he was a criminal. You can't kidnap a criminal. He was a sovereign criminal. We went in there and got him to show the world we can do whatever we want because we're America. Let's see here. This is another one just posted. The order is clear. Danish soldiers in Greenland must go to counterattack if the United States wants to take Greenland with power. What? So we've got the Danish now going to war with America if we go in there to try to take Greenland. And by the way, it's not Greenland anymore. It's red, white, and blue land. That's what they're calling it. Red, white, and blue land. It's kind of like the Gulf of Mexico now is now the Gulf of America. We are now dubbing and branding. That's the Great White North there, right? We're talking Greenland, the red, white, and blue land. And to hell with any Danish soldier that would try to get in our way. Who are you? Danish soldiers, huh? You're going to stand in our way? How many Danish soldiers do they have up there? I know we have a base. Don't we have a base in Greenland? I think there's a base up there too. So they're going to stop Americans from just taking it, huh? By force? Because we're going to have to do it by military force now, because Trump said we're going to take it by force if need be. Danish soldiers are understanding orders to engage any hostile activity on Greenland, including unannounced U.S. activity. The standing order of 1952 is confirmed to be in force until or by both Danish Defense Command and Ministry of Defense to the news site Berlingske. So this was an order of 1952, huh? Yeah, it's in Danish language. I'm not sure what the name of that is, but that's interesting. All right. Let's see what else we got here. Denmark has set new rules of engagement in Greenland as shoot now, ask questions later. What? The European nations' rule of engagement requires soldiers to immediately counterattack invading forces without awaiting orders. Whoa. That's like, hey, boss, we don't have to ask. It's Americans. It doesn't matter. All the more, under Donald Trump's command, fire at will. Engage enemies. That ought to be interesting. I think we're going to have a chicken dance. The White House, after seizing Russian-flagged oil tanker, says, you can run, but you can't hide. You can run, but you can't hide. That's what they said. That's what Trump's saying, right? Run, but can't hide. Russian lawmaker says that the U.S. Coast Guard ships should be sunk after oil tanker seizure. U.S. Coast Guard ships should be sunk. Are they going to send hypersonics? Because I don't think we would be able to stop hypersonic missiles incoming to U.S. warships and or Coast Guard ships. Would they not be able to stop a hypersonic, would they? This is America right now. America's giddy with our dominant power. This is the way America is. But what happens if a hypersonic missile sinks one of our ships? This is what's going to happen. We're going to be like this. Huh? I just love that little girl's face. Look at it. How could that little girl do that? She's happy one minute, and then the next minute she's like, what? Her parents taught her how to do that. You know, kids are crazy. Kids are so funny, though. Sometimes they just pick up some of the funniest things. Let's see if there's anything else we should look at here before we go. That's a pretty large scale protest there in Caracas. I was about to say Carcass. This is a pretty large protest in the city of Caracas. This is the footage of the commandeering of these oil tankers that Russians and Chinese do not like. I guess they're going to do something about it here pretty soon. What in the world? That's a talking head. Chairman of Austria's NATO enlargement committee warns if President Trump takes Greenland that Europe will seize U.S. bases. So they're going to take over our bases. I guess these are bases that are probably in some of these countries that don't want us to take over NATO or over Greenland, right? So Austria might be one of them, right? Wow. If you take over, let's just This guy's trying to speak English. Okay, let's listen to this.
We take every single base of the Americans from Aviano to Ramstein, from Romania to all the other military bases will be confiscated and you will lose it. And the whole position of American power since World War II, if you take Greenland, you have to leave. It's very simple, Mrs. Miller. This is the leverage we have. You need these bases for global power projection. You won't have it. And we can defend ourselves very well, and we will do that without the US nuclear shield, without the US troops in Europe, without the American bases. We will simply run these bases ourselves, and we run your boys home into Chicago, and Ohio. And goodbye. If you go extreme, we go extreme as well. Be sure about it.
Did you hear what he said? Oh, I just messed up my mic here. Hold on. Wow. I got to show you guys this. This is crazy. Hold on. Okay. Now, is my mic better there? Okay. So you got to hear this. You got to see what he said. This is wow, I hadn't seen this yet. I mean, I saw the clip there, or what they said, but I did not see what he actually said. That is absolutely crazy. Okay, so this is Austria's. This is the chair of Austria's NATO Enlargement Committee. And this is his warning to the U.S. and to President Trump. Just watch the lyric, or watch the subtitles here. Watch this.
If you take it, we take every single base of the Americans from Aviano.
All right, one more time. This thing is I want to make sure that I have this off here. Okay, ready?
If you take it, we take every single base of the Americans from Aviano to Ramstein, from Romania to all the other military bases will be confiscated and you will lose it. And the whole position of American power since World War II, if you take Greenland, you have to leave. It's very simple, Mrs. Miller. This is the leverage we have. You need these bases for global power projection. You won't have it. And we can defend ourselves very well, and we will do that without the US nuclear shield, without the US troops in Europe, without the American bases. We will simply run these bases ourselves, and we run your boys home into Chicago, and Ohio. And goodbye. If you go extreme, we go extreme as well. Be sure about it.
Wow. Wow. That's amazing. That is amazing. Wow. Trump's doing a great job offending all of our allies. I guess he doesn't want to be with NATO anyway, supposedly. He'll just say, this is part of my plan. Had planned on leaving NATO anyway. It's exactly what I wanted to have happen. Let's see. U.S. is seizing Russian oil tanker in European waters. Absolutely crazy. Halt chase. Moscow asks U.S. Washington ignores Russia's request to stop the pursuit. Vessel escorted by Russia. Kremlin deployed submarines to guard the Bella 1 this morning. What? They had submarines out there? U.S. seizing sanctioned oil tanker, American military and Coast Guard conducting operation. Vessel was escorted by Russia with submarines, but it was halted, and Washington ignores Russia's request to stop the pursuit. So this U.S. military forces seized the Russian flag tanker despite Moscow's request to stop the pursuit. Russian warships and a submarine were near the tanker when the seizure happened, but took no action. Wow. That's interesting. This is some scripture here. We should probably look at this too, right? Yeah, we have to be, according to our Christian faith, and especially when you're talking about, the world, we're talking about news, right? This is world news. What we talk about, which is the most important news, is the good news. The good news is that we're not in the world, or we're not of the world, I should say. We're in the world, but we're not of it. And how do you get out of the world system? Well, first of all, you have to die to the world system that is the remnants of the fall that's in your own heart, right? Your heart is subject to the world system and its perceptions and its influence if you haven't died to the self, if you haven't denied the self, if you haven't picked up the cross and allowed Christ to regenerate through repentance, right, and through faith. Through repentance and faith, the regeneration takes place. The old self dies on the cross. It's been crucified with Christ on that cross, and his righteousness, his power, and his life is now imputed to you, and it becomes a part of the seed that is God's life within you, and it is an eternal seed. It is an uncreated seed. It is an uncreated life, right? It's not a part of the creation. When you have the seed of God in your heart, it is the very presence of God, who himself is uncreated. He is not a part of the creation. So you are in possession of an eternal seed that begins to grow in your soul and in your mind and in your heart. This is why it's a peace that passes all understanding, and it guards your heart, it guards your mind, and it's a garrison of your life and ultimate destiny. It will radiate from within your own soul to the world around you. And this is why tyrants all throughout the ages have militated against the true message of the gospel of Christ, because they see it as a rival to their own kingdom. This rival to their kingdom is the spread of a kingdom's message that is eternal, and it is the eternal reign and rule of Christ, and he will rule forever and ever. I don't care what any tyrant says. And it will happen just like he said it will happen. And there's nothing that can stop it from happening. Jesus will return to this earth, and he will culminate the age, and it will be right there in the Middle East. I don't care what any leader says. When they say they're going to try to stop the end times from happening, it ain't going to happen. Trump, in his own words, said he would stop it. And I just got to play this because people don't believe this when I tell them that Trump said that he would stop Jesus from returning. Trump literally said he would not allow the end times to take place in the Middle East. In his own words, Trump is right here, and I'm going to show it to you just so you know. Trump said he's not going to allow Jesus to return. And some says, oh, that's clickbait. He never said that he wasn't going to allow Jesus to return. He's referencing the prophets when it says that the Lord himself would return to Mount Zion and culminate the age when all of these wars begin. And that's the time when the day of the Lord is. That's the time when Christ returns. Trump said he would not let that happen. Okay? If you haven't heard this yet, you need to pay close attention to what Trump is saying here. Who is Trump? Who is he? You tell me who Trump is right now to say this. Who is Trump to say this? Who is he to have to be able to say something like this? This is the height of what I would say is pride. All right, listen.
There are great philosophers that said the world will end in the Middle East. We're not going to let that happen. You've heard that expression.
Yeah.
They said the world will end someday in the Middle East. We're not going to let that happen. Okay?
Well, listen, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. President. I really appreciate it. Guys.
The Middle East is rapidly changing. You know, there are prophets that say the world will come to an end in the Middle East. You know that, right? And we have weapons today that are so scary. When you look, I rebuilt them all. And when you look at the weapons we have today, the biggest threat we have in the world today is nuclear weapons.
600.
So first of all, why did he say, I'm not going to let this happen. I'm not going to let it happen. He says it twice, emphatic. I want to make sure I got the point across. I'm not going to let this happen. And then he says, the prophets have said the end of the world will happen in the Middle East. But I have made nuclear weapons, and they're scary. So if anybody ever tried to bring about the end of the world in the Middle East, this is what Trump is saying. I have nuclear weapons, and I've made them all, and they're very scary, very scary, very scary, and they're dangerous. So nobody, including Jesus' return, would dare to bring about the end of the world, because I will not let that happen. That's basically what Trump is saying. That is what Trump is saying. If you read between the lines, and it's not even having to read between the lines, it's what he's saying.
The biometric entry-exit visa tracking system, which we need desperately. This system is in place, and I will tell you, it will be on land, it will be on sea, it will be in air. We will have a proper tracking system. We will have a proper tracking system.
A proper tracking system. We're going to track you, trace you, tag you, and bag you wherever you're at. While Rome burns, we will find you and blame you for everything. All right. That's about it. I think I've done enough trouble for today. I've got myself in enough trouble for today. Well, let's see. Where is my other news background here? Oh, here it is. Is that it? What the heck happened to my background? I lost my background. Where did my background go? Oh, this is it. Is this it? Yeah, that's it. Okay. Anyways. All right, guys. I think that's about it for today. I'm sure there'll be more coming down the pike because I told you guys, I think it's going to be fast and furious. I think what we're about to see in the world is going to be a consecutive kind of domino effect, and it's only going to increase in intensity and in frequency, kind of like labor pains. You know, it's just going to continue to get stronger and faster and stronger and faster, and pretty soon it'll be the day of the Lord and nobody can stop it. So just get ready. Hold on. Now, I'm sure it's going to be long drawn out. It's not going to happen like just overnight. I think it's just we're going to start building momentum here, at least for the U.S. I'm sure that the world will continue on, even if America has to go through, I don't know. My vision of what I see coming is it's not really good. But then again, the whole world is going to come under the same, judgments. I'm trying to get back to my page here so I can see you guys here because I can't see anything here. Hold on. Okay, I'm back on my page now. All right, so just looking at some of your comments there. Elizabeth, God bless, good night. Karen, Froto Baggins, God bless. Grabbing Gears, God bless. Josh Lacey, Dr. or D.W. Ray, Mr. Kiro, Becky Inglis. Let's see who else here. Lisa Brown, and thank you to all the moderators that are watching out. Elizabeth being one of them, and the members of our channel. I appreciate all you guys that do support what we do, whether it's on Patreon or here as members. We definitely are looking to increase our reach. So please get involved, be a part of what we're doing, and join the transformation. It is really a transformative. It's not just a revolution or a movement. This is really it's a transformation of our own hearts and souls that affect our environment. That's really what changes things. Is you change things. Now, it's not you, it's God, just like the scripture says, Jesus Christ in you, the hope of eternal glory. They will see your good works and glorify God, which is in heaven, right? On the day of his visitation. They're going to see the good works that God puts within your own heart. And it's not all about you. It's about God. It's about glorifying him, right? He's the one that receives the glory here. We're not sitting here tooting our own horns. We're making sure that he gets all the glory. And you're going to be doing the same thing. That's what spreads the message, is the presence of God in your heart. So let God have his way. Let God arise and let his enemies be scattered, right? Let God arise within you. And let him put that standard. When the enemy comes in like a flood, the Spirit of the Lord will raise up a standard. Be a part of that standard bearer. You are a part of the army of the last days, right? This is a spiritual campaign that God himself initiates in the children of the Most High. Put on your full armor and go out and fight in Jesus' name. Amen. And you do that through prayer, through studying and understanding God's will in your life. That's how you do it. Because once God gives you a plan, you execute that plan. God, it's like you're releasing God's will on earth as it is in heaven. That's what you're doing. You're praying God's will to be done on earth. And the only way that happens is if you do what God calls you to do. Now, he can use somebody else, but don't you want to be the one that is collaborating with the God Most High for his will to be done on earth? Don't you want to be a part of that? So ask God, seek his face, turn from your own ways and say, your will be done on earth as is in heaven. Not my will, but your will be done. It's not always easy. He's going to call you to pick up a cross. He's going to call you to great sacrifice. He's going to call you to leave this world. He's going to call you to not be materialistic. He's going to call you to love others, put them above yourself. It's not a selfish pathway. It's a pathway that is fulfilling. It is the ultimate path that leads to eternal security and eternal life and eternal peace. He's the only one that is the Prince of Peace that can bring eternal peace. Donald Trump's not going to bring you eternal peace, even though he promises it over and over. He's not the author of eternal peace. Maybe in a certain sense, maybe some earthly temporal peace through money, but money can't buy you real life. It can't buy you real peace. It can't buy you health and well-being. That is, that they're saying the AI can do it, but AI can make you eternal. Can make you immortal. It can heal all your diseases. It's all a lie. The scripture says they're lying signs and wonders. These are lying signs and wonders. Signs and wonders, yes, but they're not. They're deceitful. They're deceiving people. So all of this AI tech, all the promises of immortality and, the golden age, I'm just telling you, lying. It comes out of the category of the scripture, lying signs and wonders. Don't believe it. Trust the Lord, put him first, and God will secure you in every way. Amen. God bless you. I love you all in Jesus' name. Thank you for your support. Thank you for praying for us. Thank you for sharing this feed everywhere you can. Get the mess out. This is an evangelistic outreach. What we do here is to try to bring people in. We're fishers of men. You can be one with us in this endeavor by joining with us and praying with us and sharing it. Amen. God bless. Love you all.